Bismillahi walhamdulillahi assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. So today we will start Surah An Nisaa and we will inshallah try to cover ayah number 1 till 115. But before we start again, we will quickly go through three actions from the last lesson that we had with Surah Al Imran. The first one was spread the knowledge of the book, Holy Quran, and do not hide it or change it for minor benefits of this world. We learned about it in the last class that there were Jews who had changed the book, the Torah that was given to them, and they were holding that knowledge so that other people don't get to know about the truth. And at times they were even changing what was written to it to get some benefits from, or like kickbacks or bribes in order to benefit the powerful people or those who were the rulers in those times. So we have the lesson that we got out for ourselves is that we have to spread the knowledge of the book, the Holy Quran. And as the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his last address also said that today I've completed the religion, and those of you who are here, they should spread it to those who are not present. So it is a job that was given to us, all of us as Muslims, and we cannot make any change just to get any benefit within this worldly benefit to please someone or to give a ruling in favor of someone. Point number two, intelligent people ponder over signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we had a very long discussion on this topic, that in order to free up our mind, in order to think, we have to make space for it, and we have to avoid all the distractions that we have or mindless or worthless entertainment that we get into. Let's try to reduce it step by step and then make space for some good stuff to help someone, to learn something, and some of the stuff that gives you true contentment. So this is an action that we also took, so that we can be also intelligent as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is defining intelligent people. Do these four things for ultimate success while fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the last ayah of Surah Al Imran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that the people who believe, they are the ones who are steadfast. They are steadfast, meaning that they hold their ground, they hold on to the truth, they do not deviate. If a tough situation happens, they are patient. So they wait patiently for things to improve or for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help to come whenever they are in a tough situation, and they are consistent in their good deeds. So it's not like, if you've started a good deed, try to do it consistently. Don't leave it. Don't pray 3 times a day and then 2 times a day and then 5 times a day, and then so be consistent in all the good stuff that we did. So this is the ultimate success. Obviously, we have to continue the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is also fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of love. And now we will see that the next surah, Surah An Nisaa, will start from the same point of having the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But before we go there, like in every surah before we start, we go through a brief introduction of the surah. So we are about to start Surah An Nisaa. This surah was revealed in Medina. Total, it has 176 ayahs. An Nisaa, the word Nisa means woman, and An Nisaa does means the woman. This surah is named after women because there are multiple topics that are related to women. And for the first time, Islam was a religion that established women's rights. I'm sure that you guys also hear a lot of noise around us related to Islam. Oh, look at the Muslim women. They have to cover themselves. They are so oppressed. And look at the way the Muslims are living, and look at what's happening. What we need to understand is, at the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the biggest advocate of women, and Islam was the religion and the guidance that we got from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the first time in that context, in that period of time, when someone even gave rights to women. Earlier, the women themselves were treated as property or as wealth. And what used to happen is, when a person used to die, his son, and he would have multiple wives, then his son would inherit his wives and he would marry his stepmothers. So this was a very weird practice that was happening at that point in time, because women were seen as themselves as property. So let alone when, let's say, somebody dies, it's not like they got some share from her husband's wealth or from her father's wealth or from her brother's wealth. It did not happen like this. Instead of giving them their share of that wealth or property, in fact, they themselves were seen as an element like property. So Islam first came, and we will see, even in today's, you will see in ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses it in detail of what should be the distribution of wealth when a person dies or the deceased person. So let's say if I have a house or some bank balance or a car or some money, and if I pass away, then what should my family get, and what is the right way and the right process to do it? Briefly, we will go, inshallah, in the ayahs that we're going to cover today. But the most important thing to note is Islam is the religion which got women's right first, and especially during that context where nobody even used to think about it. And there are many topics that we will cover in this ayah related to women as well as family. And in this ayah, the overall points that will be discussed are basically the foundations of social principles and golden rules for a society. If you recall, during when we were going through Surah Baqarah as well as I think some part of Surah Al Imran, we learned that a household or a family, when a man and a woman, they get together, they get married, they have children, and a household or a family is formed, this is a unit of society, because the society in large is made up of these small households, right? And that becomes a big society. So the household is very important, which is why you will see matters of marriage being discussed, divorce being discussed, and wealth distribution, because the society is also impacted by this. And then other social issues are also discussed in this surah. We'll be discussing about the institution of marriage, family laws, inheritance, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also denounced strongly worshipping idols. And there is also reward for the believers who don't worship idols, the believers. And then finally, there is a detailed account about hypocrites. And there's also mention of Jews and their practices. But there is a detailed account towards the second half of this surah, where we learn about hypocrites. And I'm sure you guys remember, hypocrites are the people who say something nice. Yes, we are with you. We are like you Muslims and we are your brothers. But at the back, they are not like it. And they do not act what they say. So they hide what they have in their mind, and they just speak just to please others. So moving forward, we start today's lecture. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhan nasu taqu rabbakum. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting this surah that, O mankind, fear your Lord, or have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by fear out of love as well. So you see, this surah is not saying, oh, you who believe. It's not talking just to Muslims or believers. It's about all mankind. They should fear their Rabb, their Lord, their Creator. And this is a very important point, because in the previous surah we ended with, oh, you who believe, have fear of Allah. You have to be steadfast. You have to be patient. These are the qualities that you need to have. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking the entire mankind, oh mankind, fear your Lord, your Rabb, the one who created you. Alladhi khalaqakum, the one who created you. Min nafsin wahida, from one single soul, meaning Adam alayhi salam. So all of us know that humanity started, and the mankind, the people, they started from the first person, Adam alayhi salam. Wa khalaqa minha zawjaha, and created from it its mate. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created from Adam alayhi salam his mate, Hawa alayhi salam, who was his wife. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا, and dispersed from both of them, and from them رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً, and from them came many men and many women. So there were so many children that they had, and from there all the mankind started. Now, after the start of mankind, now there are different people, different religions and all of this. But now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this point in Quran, starting this surah, is reminding all mankind that regardless of who you are a Jew, you're a Christian, you're a non-believer, you're a Muslim, you are whatever, the starting point is the same. So Islam here is eliminating all racism. Okay, and we'll talk about it in the next slide as well, what racism is and what it means for those of you who do not know. But the point here is that all of us are equal. So Islam has established equality, okay, but the only thing that separates people is, or makes one superior versus the other, is the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much God fearing or how much fear that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you will be God fearing and if you have fear, chances are that you will spend your life according to the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So that is the only criteria with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say somebody is superior, somebody is not superior. But any other thing that is there in this world, that any other criteria that we have of a wealthy person or a powerful person or a black person or a white person, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has eliminated. All of us started from Adam alayhi salam, and in that case all of us are equal. Wattaqullah. Now again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this ayah, if you look at this in the middle of it, Wattaqullah, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a harsher, this is a more stricter version of, because if you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying Ittaqu Rabbakum, which is fear your Lord. It's a milder tone. But here Ittaqullah, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a stronger instruction that we are getting. And fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Alladhi tasa'alun, whom you ask, bihi wal arham, whose name you use, whom you ask with it, and the wombs. So wal arham here means a womb. A womb is basically from where it's within a female, from where children get born or babies are born. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here is, the first connection that all of us have is that we are from Adam alayhi salam, and he was the first human being. All of us are descended from him, so we are all equal. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, have fear in Allah. When you ask or when you call out each other, when you converse each other, you say Wallahi, or I really promise by God that I will do this. And when you are giving this reference of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then also have some fear. So when you are dealing with people, when you are living in a society, when you are in a household, have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is the one whom you refer to in your conversation. So for example, if you're trying to get something from someone and you're saying, I really promise that I will return it back to you. Trust me, promise. So is there a question? No. Okay. So from that standpoint, we have to, I'm sorry, I think someone needs to mute. Okay. Good. So, so from that standpoint, from a society standpoint, we are all connected by wombs, meaning the origin of birth that happens is via a mother. So womb, that womb is the place where all of us are connected as brothers and sisters via our mothers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying that fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you take his name and when you connect with other people that you are also connected with. Inna Allah kana alaykum raqiba, and indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever watchful and he's watching over everything that you do. So first have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear of your Rabb, the creator who created every one of you, and all of the souls and all of the mankind, all of the people came from Adam alayhi salam. So all of us are equal. Then when you are dealing with people, have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose name you use to make these promises, to make these commitments, to do all of your daily and live around your daily lives. Yes, I will do this, I will do that. So you better have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because with all of the people that you're connected with, you use his name and you make commitments, so you have to deliver them. There are rights of people that are amongst us that we have to fulfill for others. Inna Allah kana alaykum raqiba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching on all over us. So the point to note here is, one of the first things Islam destroyed is racism. Who will tell me what racism is? What comes to your mind when you think about racism?
Racism is judging people by like their skin color.
Okay, so when you say somebody is white and he's brown and he's black, you're right. Very well said, Ahmed.
Who and else? Also their where they're from, like their I don't know. Like,
By their appearance and background.
Excellent answer, Daniel. By their appearance and background. Ahmad, you're also right. With their color, with the color of their skin, where they live, from which region they're coming from. Yes, Aziz, go ahead.
Racism is when you talk bad about someone based on where they live, where they come from, their race or color or society.
Brilliant, brilliant answer, Aziz. Very well said. So racism is when you comment on someone or you think about and you have this picture on their head that, you know, they are coming from a place, they're Arabs, non-Arabs, whites, and, you know, when we say Pakistanis or Indians or Egyptians do this. So when you put people in a group and you start having something at the back of your head and you say things to the entire race without even looking at the individuals. So Islam said in the previous ayah we saw that everybody came from Adam alayhi salam. Now when everybody came from Adam alayhi salam, you're all equal regardless of your color. There's differences. The differences are there for us to relate to each other. Imagine if all of us looked the same and we had the same face, same color, same skin. How would we recognize each other, right? So Allah SWT created different types, different looks of human beings. And those were so that each of us can recognize each other. And this is again a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, that no two persons are same exactly looking. Yes, we have twins, we have identical twins and all. But generally speaking, broadly speaking, around the world, you can recognize someone that you see in one place, one country, and you go, and then, you know, there are very different things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed racism and is telling us that all of you are equal. Only superior factor is taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and taqwa means fear out of love, meaning the more person will be fearful, chances are he'll be a great Muslim and he will live his life according to the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the action for us is treat all lives, all mankind equally. Don't say, you know, this is a white person, so he must be thinking this, and there are black persons, so they are thinking in a certain way. And the thing is, this action that I have mentioned over here, treat all lives or mankind equally, it's not easy because of stereotypes in society. What do you understand from stereotypes in society? Who will tell me? What do I mean by this?
Stereotypes is like the norm of society, a norm.
So Aziz is saying that stereotypes it's a norm in society, or it is something established. Who can tell me more about it?
I think stereotypes are like different kinds of personalities, people.
Okay. So both of you are right, Aziz and Ahmed. The point, stereotypes mean when you put people in groups and buckets, and then you start looking at them as a group. So for example, all Pakistanis are XYZ, all Americans are like this, all black people are whatever they say, strong. They can be a positive stereotype and it can be a negative stereotype. Normally stereotype is negative, and you know, we are stereotyping people as soon as we look at them, but which is why I'm saying thinking and stepping back and thinking that I do not have to stereotype someone, even if they are coming from a specific country, or if they look a certain way, or if they do, I should not think of them as generally a group of people. We should look at people individually. We should appreciate their abilities and qualities individually. You know, soon you guys will be starting jobs. Some of you guys will be starting your businesses. One of the things that is really talked about in corporate world or in businesses or in offices is also about diversity. How many different type of people are bringing their ideas. And this is again an amazing blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that different people, different backgrounds can bring in different ideas. So, you know, when there is a mix of people, when there's a mix of cultures, when there's a mix of gender, male, female as well, there can be some good ideas that can come. So from that standpoint as well, we should not label people, because then you will not be able to benefit from anybody's ideas. Even if you are, you know, going to a school, and if a different sort of a person comes in and they don't look like you, and then you're looking at them, they look poor, or they're not looking, they're dark, or they're white, or whatever differentiation you create. So whenever you see someone and your mind tells you something about them because of their look, color, from where they're coming, or how they're introducing, or how they're speaking, try to stop your mind. This is a practical example that I'm giving you. Try to stop your mind and try to know them. So ask them questions, learn about them, deal with them, play with them, work with them, study with them, and then you will realize the true value that that person is hiding within themselves. It's not an easy thing because we grow with these stereotypes. We watch a lot of things on TV, on social media. A lot of information is given to us, and which is why you have these preconceived things in your head that this person is like this, or this people in that country are like that, people in that country. But when you really realize, and when you travel and you go to that country, you realize, oh my God, I thought that things are like this, but it is so different on the ground. It happens a lot of the time. A lot of the time, conventional media is saying something about a place or this is happening, that is happening. But when you go on the ground, nothing of that is happening. So you have to, the point here is what? The lesson for us here is what? First of all, we have to be humble and we need to know all people are equal. Okay, some people Allah SWT gives power, some people He gives wealth, some people He gives beauty, some people look a certain way. All of these things and benefits are from Allah SWT. We cannot differentiate, this person is driving such a great car, he must be so nice. No, it doesn't work that way. We just got to know the only way to differentiate and make people superior is their taqwa, the fear inside their heart about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only way a person can be good or bad or whatever. All the other things, skills, qualities, wealth, money, everything is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He can take it away from anyone. So a person who's so smart can suddenly have a mental illness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give them a mental disease and they can lose everything. Somebody who's so wealthy, they can get a disease in their family and they have to pay everything and they have to sell everything and they have to, situation can change. So we should always thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessing that He has given us. And so we should not differentiate between people. We should treat everybody equal. And if there is any stereotype that comes to your mind when you see people or when you're meeting someone or when you're hearing about someone, you should try to stop it and say, no, I have to get to know them individually. It's not like I should say, because they look or this and that, and so which is why they may be like that. I hope this point is clear. Are you all with me?
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Let's move forward fast. وَآتُوا الْيَتَامَى أَمْوَالَهُمْ وَلَا تَتَبَدَّلُوا الْخَبِيثَ بِالطَّيِّبِ. And give, now the instructions about orphans are coming. And give the orphans their wealth and do not exchange the bad with the good. So basically, when you take over orphans and when you have children, so who are orphans, children whose parents died, and now someone needs to take care of them. And when their children their parents may have left some wealth, some money, some house or some car or something, then if you are taking care of them, then do not mix their good things with your bad things and all of this. So for example, if they left a nice car and you have a smaller car, then don't start just driving that car and everything. You have to take care, because all of this is a amana that is of the orphan that you will have to return once they grow up. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَمْوَالَكُمْ. And do not consume their wealth with your wealth. Don't try to mix things because they are so young, they are so small, they don't know anything. So you start eating from their wealth. إِنَّهُ كَانَ حُوبًا كَبِيرًا. Indeed, it is a great sin that you eat from the orphan's wealth. So be careful. The action is be careful when you take care of orphans. The way you need to do is you have to be just. Just means to be fair. You have to establish justice when dealing with their wealth, because it is an amana that you will have to return one day when they grow up. So you are taking care of them. And here I would like to mention as well is the companions of the Holy Prophet, when instructions were given to them from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to take them literally, and many of them were very fearful. Oh my God, can we share a plate? Can we share a food? Should we cook separately for them? They went into a lot of details. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave instructions that we don't have to worry about these small minor details. And anyways, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is running inside our hearts, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if we have ill intention or good intention. But overall, we have to take care that we are not mixing the wealth. And it is an amana that will eventually have to be returned. Further guidance is coming. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا. And if you fear that you will not be able to do justice, fil yatama, with the orphans, فَانْكِهُ مَا طَابَ لَكُمْ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. Then marry what seems to you suitable from the women. So for example, if you think that you're unable to separate, especially if there are females and they've grown to the age of marriage and now the orphans are becoming elder, then you can even marry amongst them those who were women. Masna wa sulasa wa ruba. So you can marry either one person, one female, 2, 3, or 4. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, but if you fear Allah ta'adilu, that you cannot do justice with multiple marriage, فَوَاحِدَةً, then marry one, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, for what possesses your right hand. So whatever is available with you. ذَلِكَ أَدْنَا أَلَّا تَعُولُوا, that is more appropriate, and so that you do not oppress someone or you do not oppress the right of someone. So ideally you should marry one, but if you can do justice amongst many, then you can marry 1, 2, 3, or up till 4. But if you fear that you cannot do justice amongst them and you cannot treat them equally, and if your heart, or if your if you will not be able to divide the provisions amongst them, or things that we need for to spend our lives equally in them, then you should only marry one. And then obviously don't try to oppress one or the other, and we have to take care of them properly. وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ, and give the woman صُدُقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلًا, their dower graciously. Now the next point that is coming is also very, very important. It is about when a groom and a bride, they get married. When two people, a man and a woman, they are getting married. At marriage time, what happens is the bride, the groom or the man is supposed to give an amount of money that is also called dower, that they have to give to the woman. Now, there are many things that I will discuss later on that are prevalent in our society that should not happen. But let's first go through this ayah and then we will discuss about it. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and give the woman their dower graciously. The money that you have to give them, have an open heart and give it to them in a nice way, in a gracious way, and it should be the right amount. فَإِنْ طِبْنَا لَكُمْ أَنْ شَيْءٍ, but if they remit to you of anything, if they give some of it back to you, مِنْهُ نَفْسًا فَكُلُوهُ هَنِيئًا مَرِيئًا. So if they remit anything of you on their own, then eat it with satisfaction and ease. So you are supposed to give money when you are getting married to a female. Now, if out of that money, or if out of something, the bride or your wife, she gives something back to you, then take it in a nice way. Don't say, no, I don't need, I'm a man, and I don't take money from women and all of that. No, if they give it to you, then take it in a nice way and have a nice relationship. Now let's discuss this point in detail. These days in our society, when two people are getting married, there are many wrong acts that have started to happen, especially related to dower or the money that is supposed to be given. Point number 1, I'm sure you guys have heard about it. The Urdu word, the word that we use for this is jahez. So the female's family, the father of the daughter or the bride who's getting married, they are not supposed to give dowry to the groom's family, or this is a very prevalent and a sad ritual that has entered into our society. In Islam, the groom, the man, is supposed to give the money or mahar or dower to the female. What happens is the opposite, that the females or the bride's family is expected to give dowry or jahez to the male because they have to set it up. And then people say what? No, take it. So it's just take it for our happiness. We want to give things to our daughter. And there are these things there are indirect pressure that are given from the groom's family or the boy's family to the girl's family. So you do not love your daughter. We thought that you love your daughter, so you're giving her things because she's moving to a new house and she's now leaving. So you impart her with gifts and everything else. I'm not saying that the parents cannot give gifts. They can out of their own will. Obviously, it's their daughter. She's their daughter. The point here is when this practice becomes in the society a need, and then the overall thing about marriage becomes difficult, then this is something that we need to avoid. All of you guys are in your teens. Inshallah, you will get married. I want you all to denounce this practice. And even if the family is saying something, no, take it and everything, you say, no, Islam doesn't allow any dowry to come from or jahez to come from the bride's family to the male's family. So we will not take it. I think this is one very, very important action that you guys will have to take, inshallah, when you get older and when you get married. The second point is about the dower itself. Now let's talk about the dower. So this is what is commonly also called mahar. Sorry, is there a question? Hamza, you are raising your hand. Go ahead.
Sir, if a person or a male is not able to give jahiz, then what?
Okay, that's a
can
very
we
good
do?
question. So what you're saying is basically the word jahiz is wrong. That's used in Urdu. But if you're asking me that if a male is not able to pay dower, right? So there are instances from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we continue to take guidance from him and his companions, where a companion also got married via just one date or via just one armor or very small thing. The point here is, and we will discuss the action later on, that what should happen. The groom is supposed to give this dower or give this mahar to the bride according to his status, according to his earning, according to his belongings. So we also get examples from the time of the Holy Prophet that then when there was a soldier, he could not give anything else. He would give his armor or he would give something to get married, that whatever element he had of value. The point is that the male is supposed to give the female. In our society, unfortunately, the females are expected, the female's family is expected to give to the male family, and there's a big truck going in with all of those things. That is completely not required and allowed, which is why the marriage and this event should be made easier so that more people can get married at the right age in an easier way. And I will talk about what is the action for us and how it should be done. The second point that I wanted to mention is that normally people, so there are two ways that the groom can pay this. So the husband can pay this at the time of the marriage, right? Or he can delay it, which is also called ajil, or in normal it's called we use the term muajjal. So muajjal and ghair muajjal. So delayed is the one that you can pay it in at a later time, and at that point in time you can pay, and you can also pay at the same time. Now people normally, what happens is, in our society there's a mindset, and some people think that mahar or this amount money, this dower that the guy has to pay, only has to be paid at the time of divorce. And so they just say, okay, fine, we will discuss whatever the amount is and we will pay it when we will divorce. No, this is not the thing. You can even pay at the time of the marriage. So you can pay this amount at the time of the marriage, and you can delay it as well if you consent and if the bride and the groom, they decide together. But by default, people think that, it's ajil, and yes, and it will be only paid at the time of divorce. Because of this thought, another thing that people do, which is wrong, is that the girl's family tries to put this dower amount or this mahar amount as high as possible. Why? Because they think that this will protect the girl. The amount will be so high that the guy will not be able to pay and the marriage will continue. This is their misconception. This is wrong. The amount cannot be high. And this is exactly what I think, Hamza, you asked the question related to, that at times the amount is set so high that the guy is not able to pay. So this is wrong. So from the male side, he should have good intention to pay this dower, to pay this mahar when he's getting married, with whatever he can pay according to his status. If I have a high salary, I should try to, because it's a gift that you're giving to the girl. The girl is leaving behind everything, her family, and coming to your house. It's a show of love. It's something, so it should be as much as you can possibly give. So you should not say, yes, I am poor, and try to get it as low. It should not be a negotiation. It should be something that you can easily pay. And even from the girl's side, it should not be, let's make it so high so that if something wrong happens and if they're about to go to divorce, then the guy thinks twice. This is wrong. This is wrong. Now, what should happen? Set the right dower according to the status of the groom. And then Islam has given us option that it can be paid at the time of marriage, or it can be also paid as ajil, or it can be muajjal, or it can be delayed. And on top of it, Islam also encourages, and we see these examples where we should continue to give gifts to our spouses, both of them each other. If husband is earning, they should continue to give, to show love and to show care. So on the one way, you can imagine that negotiations are happening. Okay, girl is in the family, or the girl is saying it should be high, and the guy is saying it's too high, and it's all of this discussion is happening. While Islam is saying us the right way to do it is set the right dower according to the status of the groom. It should be mutually expected amount. It should not be a burden on any of them, for the groom especially, and it should be mutually discussed. And there are options to pay it at the time of marriage or to delay it. Plus, we should also continue. This is something ahsan. You want to do goodness. We are learning here Islam, and we are learning here the way of the Quran and the guidance and how we can raise ourselves in superiority by having fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should please also our wives and our relatives. So in that case, we should also show love and care to our wives and give other gifts, not that as well, as much as you can afford. So I really hope this point is clear. Moving forward. وَلَا تُؤْتُوا السُّفَهَاءَ أَمْوَالَكُمْ, and do not give the foolish your wealth, الَّتِي جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ قِيَامًا, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for you as a means for support. Now this point is mentioning again, taking us back to the point of the orphans or someone whom you have taken over. When they are not mature, or when they are still young, or if they have childish attitude towards life, then do not give them the wealth, do not give them the money, because chances are they may waste it. So ideally it should be given when they have grown up and matured, and we'll see it in the upcoming ayah. وَارْزُقُوهُمْ فِيهَا وَاكْسُوهُمْ وَقُولُوا لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. So do not give your wealth to the foolish people or to fools for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it as a support for them, but provide with them with it clothes and speak to them words of kindness. So while you're taking care of them, do not hand over the money. Okay, here's your wealth. This is what your father passed down to you. No, because chances are they won't be knowing how to spend it. So you can use that money to provide for their clothes, to provide for everyday needs that they need, and speak nicely and kindly to them. It's not like it's someone else's child, so I'll treat them differently, and my child, come on, I love you so much, and you're hugging your child in front of the orphan. No, you have to treat them with kindness as well, because they are the ones who have missed their parents and their guardians, and they are the ones who have lost them. So you need to take care of them even as your own kids. So provide for them, give words of kindness to them. وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا, and test the orphans until they have reached the balaghun nikah, until they have reached the age of marriage. So continue checking them, and take care of them and check if they have matured. فَإِنْ آنَسْتُمْ مِنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. Then if you perceive in them sound judgment, when you think that they have matured and they can handle their affairs, then deliver to them their wealth. So once they have reached the age of marriage, once they have matured now, they are baligh now, then you can, and when you determine that yes, they are they have sound judgment and they are mature enough to handle their wealth, then you can deliver their wealth. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوهَا, and do not eat it إِسْرَافًا وَبِدَارًا أَن يَكْبَرُوا, extravagantly and hastily, fearing that they will grow up. So now you have their wealth with them. So do not be in a hurry. Oh my God, he's growing up. He's about to reach that age where I'll have to handle his wealth. So let me just spend all of it fast, so that I don't have to hand it over. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, do not do this. وَمَنْ كَانَ غَنِيًّا فَلْيَسْتَعْفِفْ, and whoever is rich, then he should refrain. وَمَنْ كَانَ فَقِيرًا فَلْيَأْكُلْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and whoever is poor, then let him eat of it in a fair manner. So if you are rich, then you don't need the wealth of the orphan that you have taken over, right? So you should not even use from it. But if you are poor and you yourself, you're having a tough time, you're unable to provide and feed your family, and now there is an orphan, then you can take some part of it and you can share from his wealth, whatever is appropriate, in order to feed them as well. And while obviously you continue to provide for your family. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that we need to assess the situation ourselves, and obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows whatever is in our hearts as well. So we have to be fair. It's an amana, as I mentioned earlier, the wealth of the orphans. فَإِذَا دَفَعْتُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ, and then when you deliver them their wealth, فَأَشْهِدُوا عَلَيْهِمْ, then take witnesses on them. فَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient as a witness or a reckoner or the person who is recording everything. So the point here is that don't hand over the orphan's wealth until they are mature. That's the first point. When they have reached a certain age, then they can handle their affairs, then we have to give them the wealth, and then we have to write it down, and then we need to have witnesses when we are handing it over to them. Why? Because these people are young people. Maybe that you hand over the wealth to them, they spend it all, and then they come back later and they say, this person, he got my wealth, but he never gave it back to me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to avoid anything wrong, either from your side or from the orphan side. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, when you hand over their wealth to them, have some witnesses, have people around who know that yes, you have handed over the wealth, and write it down. And these days you can have a contract or an agreement that this was the wealth that was taken, and now I'm handing it over to you back. Now the ayahs that will be coming up, the rest of the ayahs here, about 5-6 ayahs, will tell us the different portions that are supposed to be given according to Sharia law after a person is deceased to which of his family members. I will go through this in a little bit faster. I will not go into the detail of the exact calculations, because volumes and volumes of books have been written just capturing these laws that are about to come here about the how the wealth of a deceased person or person who passed away should be distributed amongst his family. The important thing is, if such a situation arises, you go to an Islamic scholar or you go to a mufti and you explain your family situation and you get it the right way of how to distribute that wealth. But what we can appreciate today, even right now at your age, you can appreciate the detail with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned all of this for us to follow. He has not left out any situation. Everything is recorded in the Quran, and explanations are part of the hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we should appreciate how important topic this is, because this can be a means of fight amongst brothers or sisters, or all the people who are left behind. They can, because wealth is something that is dear to us, right? It provides us food, clothes. It's a sense of security for us. It provides us in this life. So people, and there's a love for wealth amongst men as well. We learned about the desires of men in one of the ayahs in the previous lessons. So here we will go through them very fast, and then I will just lay out a couple of principles that we need to keep in mind, and then we'll move forward. لِلْرِجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا تَرَكَ الْوَالِدَانِ, and for the men is a portion that is left by their parents, وَالْأَقْرَبُونَ, and for the near relatives, وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا, and for the women a portion of what تَرَكَ الْوَالِدَانِ وَالْأَقْرَبُونَ, what is left by their parents and their relatives. You see here it is so equal. This is what I was saying, that Islam for the first time gave rights to women and brought them equal, not in terms of the proportions, but at least made them equal, that they should also get a portion of the wealth. Now, because men are the ones who are leading a household, they are the ones who are expected, and it is their obligation to do all the expenses and cover the expenses of the household. You will see that the proportion are higher for men, but for women as well, for the first time, they were not seen as property, but they were given share of property, right? So, so this is the point that I wanted to make here. مِمَّا قَلَّ مِنْهُ أَوْ كَثُرَ, and of what is little or much of it, نَصِيبًا مَفْرُوضًا, a portion that is obligatory. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there are obligatory portions that men will inherit from their parents when they die, and also women will inherit when their parents pass away. وَإِذَا حَزَرَ, and when present, وَإِذَا حَزَرَ الْقِسْمَةَ أُولُو الْقُرْبَى, and when there are at the time of division relatives present, wal yatama, or the orphans, wal masakin, or the poor, farzuquhum, then provide them, minhu waqulu lahum qawlan ma'rufa, from it, and speak to them words of kindness. Now this is an important point. We will also discuss it later on. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, at the time of the division of wealth, what normally happens is, and it used to happen in that point in time, where people would gather if somebody passed away, and they would know that now the wealth will be distributed. So there used to be some orphans, some relatives, other relatives who are not directly part or directly beneficiary of the wealth according to Sharia law. But what we have been told is that we should also give a portion of this, whatever we are receiving, to these people, to other relatives, to the orphans who come there, and to other poor people who have come at the time of death. So you should also give some wealth to them, because you have received it automatically. You didn't have to work for it. Maybe your father or your parent or your someone worked for it, and now you are receiving it. So it is ahsan, it is good for us to take care of other members of the society while this wealth gets to distribute. It's not mandatory, it's an act of goodness that we have been asked to do. وَلْيَخْشَى الَّذِينَ, and let fear those who لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا, and those, if they have left from behind weak offspring, khafu alayhim, that they would have feared about them. فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, so let them fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا, and let them speak words that are appropriate. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here saying that when a person dies, let's say there are young people or young orphans, if they are leaving behind and they are small children, and let's say the parents have passed away, it's a very difficult situation. If we think about ourselves and our family, let's say if I pass away and my wife pass away, then what will happen to my little kids? It's a very vulnerable situation. So similarly, when I am inheriting wealth from my parents, and if there are orphans around, I should distribute something for them. So we should fear for them, those orphans, just like we fear for our children, because they may, it's a will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know how long I will live as well, right? Or we will live. So we should take care of other orphans just like we want our kids to be taken care of.
Sir?
Yes, go ahead, Ahmed.
Sir, if like a little kid's parent has died, then where will he live? Where will he go?
So what happens is, it's a very good question, and it's a point of concern as well, that you know how it should happen. So this is exactly what Islam is teaching us, that if you see an orphan, we have been asked to take care of them as a society as well, and as individuals as well. Because normally what happens is, if somebody's parents pass away, then there are relatives around who take care. There are friends around who come together and they agree and decide a way forward for the kids. Which is why we are seeing all of this guidance, right? Because this sort of a situation can happen in any family. So the guidance that we are getting is, we need to take care of the orphan, we need to provide for them, we need to take care of their wealth, and it is an amana which has to be returned properly. Here what we are seeing is about the Zad, you have a question? Please go ahead. You have raised your hand. Okay, I'll proceed. So here we have been told, we are being told about a wealth that you're about to receive, and some other orphans came up, and now you have to also give it to them, because they will not be able to ask even at times, and they are in a very, very difficult situation. And even your other relatives, by the way, it is very difficult for one relative to ask something for another relative, right? So the person who's receiving has been asked, even though they don't have a formal share in the Sharia law. I mean, the formal share is for different people that we will see here as well. But even if there are other relatives who are far off, then it is good for you to even give to them, to the needy and to the orphans who come at that point in time. I hope this point is clear. So here is the summary of the action when distributing wealth from deceased. Deceased means a person who has passed away. We have to take care of other relatives, orphans, and the needy as well. Inna alladhina ya'kuluna amwal al-yatama, indeed those who consume wealth of the orphans, zulman, innama ya'kulun, of the orphans, only wrongfully they consume, fi butunihim nara, they are consuming fire in their bellies, wasayaslawna sa'ira, and they will be burned in a blazing fire. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, those people who take over the wealth of the orphans, they are consuming fire and they will be burned in the blazing fire. So this is like, it's for sure. So which is why we have to be very, very careful when dealing with such matters. Now we will see how the portions are getting divided in detail. Yusikumullahu fi awladikum. Allah instructs you concerning your children. Lidhakari mislu hazzil unsayyin. Allah instructs you concerning your children, for the male is a portion equal to 2 females. So if the portion of male is 1, then the 2 females will get half of what he's getting. He should get double or versus females. فَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاءً فَوْقَ اثْنَتَيْنِ فَلَهُنَّ. But if there are only women, so let's say there is no male and there are only women, then and who are more than 2, then for them فَلَهُنَّ ثُلُثَ مَا تَرَكَ, 2/3 of what he has left. So they will get 2/3 of each. Now I don't want you to start doing the calculations in your head right now. Just appreciate the fact that in how much detail Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this. And then later on, if you're faced with such a situation in your life, you can go to a mufti or Islamic scholar who can devise the right proportions according to the family situation that you will explain them. Right now, just appreciate the fact of the detail that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is writing it and how important this matter is. وَإِن كَانَتْ وَاحِدَةً فَلَهَا النِّصْفُ. And if there is only one daughter who is left, then for her it is half. Wali'a abawayhi likulli wahid, and for his parents, one for each, minhumas sudusu, for his parents, one for 1/6 for each of them, mimma taraka in kana lahu walad, 1/6 of what is left if there is a child as well. So if, let's say, a person passed away and he has children and he has parents as well, then for his parents is 1/6 if he has children. Now we will see if he doesn't have children. فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ وَلَدٌ وَوَرِثَهُ أَبَوَاهُ فَلِأُمِّهِ الثُّلُثُ. But if he does not have any child and his parents, whatever they have inherited, then for his mother is 1/3. فَإِن كَانَ لَهُ إِخْوَةٌ فَلِأُمِّهِ, and if for him there are, and he also has brothers and sisters, then for his mother will be 1/6. So if he has brothers and sisters, if he doesn't have brothers and sisters, his mother will get 1/3. But if he has brothers and sisters, then she will get 1/6, which is less than 1/3, of course. Mim ba'di, from after that, wasiyatin yusi biha audin, and after any will he has made, or if he has any debt. And I will explain to you this point separately as well. When a person leaves a wealth, first of all, you have to pay off all his debt. So debt is what? The money that he has taken from something as a loan. So first of all, you have to pay off his loan. Second of all, you have to pay out of his will. And we will learn that the total will, the maximum amount the person can do in his will is 1/3, not more than that. After that, all the amount that is left, the 2/3 amount that is left, is to be made according to the laws that we are seeing here. And I'll explain this point in the future. Aba'ukum wa abna'ukum la tadruna ayyuhum aqrabu lakum nafa'a. Your parents and your children, you know not which of them is nearer to you in benefit. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that after you have paid for the will and you have paid for the debt, then all of that is remaining is for the parents and for children, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what should be the right distribution of wealth, and he knows according to the roles that each one of us, male, female, husband, wife, parents, they pay in a society, which is why he has made these laws. He is our creator. He will make the user manual. So which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, after you have paid the debt and the will, then you follow the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Faridatam min Allah. It is an obligation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah kana aliman hakima. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indeed all knowing, all wise. Walakum nifsu ma taraka azwajukum. And for you is half of what is left by your wife. Let's say there's my wife. She has some jewelry, she has some bank account, maybe some property, whatever she has. So whatever my wife leaves, I will get half. If illam yakul lahunna walad, if there is no child. So if we do not have children, let's say, and my wife leaves money, I will get half of it. But if we do have child, then you will see the ruling. Fa in kana lahunna waladun falakumur rubu. So if there is a child, then the husband will get 1/4. Mimma tarakam mim badi wasiyatin yusin, and you will see this getting repeated, of whatever is left after the will they have made, biha audin, or if they have paid any debt. So you will see that all of this distribution will only happen once you have paid all the debts of that person and once their will has been paid for the 1/3 amount. Walahunna rubu'u mimma taraktum, and for them is the 4th of what you have left, taraktum illam yakul lakum walad. So if you do not have the child and your wife is now left, so the first ruling we learned about was for if the wife passed away and husband is there. The second ruling is a husband passed away and the wife is there, she will get 1/4 if they don't have any children. Fa in kana lakum waladun falahunnas sumunu mimma taraktum mim ba'di wasiyatin tusuna biha audin. But if there is a child, then for them is 1/8. Your wife will get 1/8 of what you have left after from what you have after from what has been paid from the debt or from the will of the person. Wa in kana rajulun yusu. So, and if there is a man and whose wealth is to be inherited, kalalatan awim ra'atun walahu, and his wealth is to be inherited and he has no parent or child or a woman, then for him what is the ruling? Walahu akhun aw ukhtun falikulli wahidin minhumas sudus. So the money will start going to their brothers or sisters, then each one will get 2/6. So each one will get 2 out of 6 of the portions. So let's say the person who has died, he has no parents, he has no child, and he has no wife. Then the money will start to go to the brothers and sisters, and it will be 2/6 for them. فَإِنْ كَانُوا أَكْثَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ فَهُمْ شُرُكَاءُ فِي الثُّلُثِ مِنْ بَعْدِ وَصِيَّةٍ يُوصَى بِهَا أَوْ دِينٍ. But if there are more than that, then there are partners in a third from after any will. So Allah SWT is saying that if there was a sister and there is a brother, they get 1/6 of each, so both of them. And then, however, if there are more people, then they will get 1/3 out of the total, whatever is left. غَيْرَ مُضَارِّ, and then without any harm. So this thing, obviously, you cannot harm the right of one over the other. It has to be followed the way it has been stated. Wasiyyatan min Allah. This is an ordinance, or this is a guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu alimum halim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing, all forbearing. Now, we just learned the laws that are stated in the Quran. There are many explanations that we find for these laws in the Hadith. The important point that also kept repeating, and what we should keep in mind, is, let's say a person has passed away, okay, he has left his wealth. First, we need to pay his debt. First, need to pay his loan. Important thing, the interesting thing that I found was, I was looking for pictures when I was creating this slide, and I just wrote debt for a person, an icon for debt I was searching. The things that I found were, it was shown as a burden. It was shown as a chain. So even if you look at the icon on the left, it's shown as a chain that is bound, the money that is. So loan is considered to be a chain, or something that is heavy on our backs. It's a load that we carry. Ideally, we should avoid our lives. So we should avoid taking any loans from people. But if we have to take it and that person passes away, then that debt has to be paid, because it's like a chain that is holding him back to start his life after life in a peaceful way. This keeps on holding him back. So first of all, we have to pay his debt after distribution of his wealth. If he has not left something, and even if he has a debt, then other family members should gather around and contribute and try to pay off his debt, so that, the person can leave peacefully and he's not asked for that debt. So which is why, first of all of us should avoid taking loan. But anyways, if somebody has a loan, we have to pay it off. Point number 2, then we have to pay his will. Will is something that you write a document and you say that, okay, I have this much of wealth. After I die, up to 1/3 of it, you can do less of it as well, but up to 1/3, which is like 33% of it. So if you have 100, let's say real or dollar or rupees, you can give 33 out of them. The remaining 67 will be distributed according to the Sharia law. So we will take the will of so first pay the debts, whatever it is, then pay his will if he has written a will for 1/3, and then distribute according to the Sharia law that we just learned. And finally, and very important, take care of other relatives who were not defined in the law, and orphans and needy people who come around at that point in time. Moving forward, now we just have 3 ayahs remaining. I will try to go fast so we finish on time. Tilka hududullah. These are the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ يُطِيَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ يُدْخِلُهُ الْجَنَّاتِ الْتَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. And whoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger, he will be admitted to the gardens. Underneath them are flowing rivers, and they will abide forever in them. So we just learned, if somebody takes over the wealth of orphan, they are basically filling fire in their bellies. And if you are not doing justice, and you are just going closer to the hellfire. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, whosoever obeys the laws and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for them is heavens and glad tidings. Wazalikal fawzul azim. And that in it is the great success that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has defined for us. That is the ultimate success for any human being, for any person to go to Jannah. وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَتَعَدَّى حُدُودَهُ يُدْخِلُهُ نَارًا خَالِدًا فِيهَا. And whoever disobeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and transgresses his limits, doesn't follow the law, he will admit him to fire, and he will abide by in it forever. وَلَهُ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. And for him is a punishment humiliating. We see so many fights. A person dies, father dies, sons fighting, who will take over, what will happen to the house, and all of these things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly mentioning in the Holy Quran, those who follow the guidance and give, those who are in power and those who are deciding these factors, who are left behind, they should follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance so that they can get into heaven. And if they do not do that, if they try to take away, let's say there are male members in the family who take away from the females, or if they're not giving it according to the Sharia law, then there is humiliating punishment for them, and they will, enter into fire and abide in it forever. Now there is a point that is also coming related to women. Wallati yatinal fahishata min nisaikum. This is one of the early instructions that are coming up. We will also discuss it in the next class because the time has run out. I will probably start from the same ayah. This is about immorality. This is about shameful acts if women do. First, tashhidu alayhinna arba'atam minkum. Then call to witness against them 4 amongst you. So if you see, if there is a shameful act that the women are not supposed to do, men and a woman, and if they do it, then we need to call for 4 witnesses. There should be 4 witnesses on that act. For in shahidu fa amsikuhunna fil buyuti hatta yatawaffahunna al-mautu aw yaj'al Allahu lahunna sabila. As I said, that this was the earlier instruction that came related to this crime or related to this sin, but we will see that the law will be finalized later on. So if there are 4 witnesses that a female has done a shameful act, then if they testify, then confine them to their houses until comes to them death. So they were asked to be put in a solitary house or alone in a house until they die. Aw yaj'al Allahu lahunna sabila, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes for them another way, which is basically further instructions will be revealed as the Quran is getting revealed, because these are the surahs that were revealed at the earlier part when in Medina, Islamic and the Muslim societies were getting established. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is the ruling right now, but then later on there are more ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open according to this point. So this point, inshallah, we will discuss in the next class as well, and we will continue from this point because we are almost over the time of this class. Quickly going through 5 actions that we have taken from this class. Only way a person can be superior to another is by taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learned that Islam was the first to completely eliminate racism. One of the big objectives of Islam was people were treated differently in a society because of their wealth, because of their color, because of their tribe, because of everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us all of us came from Adam alayhi salam, and that makes all of us equal. Yes, there are differences amongst people, but that's just for recognition and identification. But the only thing that makes people superior to one another is the taqwa or fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how they lead their lives and how they treat others, which is why we saw a lot of laws of family related to marriage, what you're giving to your wives and everything that we discussed in today's class. That's all about treating people, and you will only treat people if you have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why this surah started with having the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just for Muslims, for all mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to live our lives accordingly. And then obviously we have to treat all lives, all mankind equally. We should not have any stereotype. We should not have any preconceived thoughts about people. Then be just when dealing with wealth of the orphan. So we have to perform justice. We have to be fair when we are dealing with the wealth of orphans. So if we have taken over orphans and we are managing their wealth or their money, we have to really take care of it. It's an amana and a trust that has to be returned one day when they grow up. And we learned when you give it back, then have witnesses and document it properly that you have handed over their wealth to them once they reach that mature age and when they are able to handle it. Then set the right dower amount according to the status of the groom. We heard this. This is an important action at the time of marriage, that the right dower amount should be set for the groom, that is according to his status, and that he should have the will to pay. He should not think like, it's ajal and I will delay it. And there are several wrong things that we discuss are part of our society. Bride's family, the female's family, is expected to pay dowry, which is also called jahez. It's wrong. Similarly, grooms, they delay it until divorce. They don't pay the mahar or this amount dower that is to be paid, and they say that, yeah, fine, we will pay it. And there is this in their mind that it will only get paid when you get a divorce. And even the females, they have this in mind that I'll get it when I get divorced. which is why even the bride's family keeps a very high amount as a protection so that the groom can never divorce. So the amount, let's keep the dower so high that if they are thinking of divorce, they cannot do it because they're forced to live together because the amount is so high the guy cannot. So it's seen as a matter of protection, but it's false, it's wrong. What we learned is that the amount should be according to the status of the groom, and he should have the will to pay it, and it should be mutually agreed in a nice way, in an ahsan way. And goodness is that even after paying that mahar and all of that, the guy continues to take care of the female and the wife, and he continues to give her gifts according to obviously his status, and just to have a healthy, happy relationship. Finally, Sharia law regarding distribution of a deceased person and how his wealth should be distributed. And the first principle that we learned is that his debt, if any loan he has taken, it needs to be returned. And then if he has written any will, then maximum up to 1/3 amount of that will, about the total wealth that he has, a maximum 1/3 of that can be given as a will that he has written. Later on, whatever is left is to be distributed amongst the family according to the Sharia law. And finally, we have been told to give something from the wealth of that person to other relatives, orphans, and the needy people as well. So this sums up our today's lecture. Are there any questions, anything before we end the class? Everything is clear? Are you guys with me?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we close our today's lecture. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Oh Allah, you are pure from imperfection and all praise is due to you. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides you. I seek forgiveness from you and return to you with your complete obedience. I will see you guys inshallah same time next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.